Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is vet your contractors wisely. One of the crucial steps in a successful real estate investment venture is to thoroughly vet your contractors. Here are 5 reasons why it's essential and how to go about it. Number 1, reputation matters. Reputation is everything in the contracting world. Look for contractors who have a proven track record of delivering quality work on time and within budget. Ask for references and follow up with previous clients to hear about their experiences. You could also visit past project sites to assess the contractor's work quality and attention to detail. Number 2, licensing and insurance. Ensure that the contractors you consider are properly licensed, bonded, and insured. This protects you in case of any accidents or subpar work. Verify their credentials and insist on seeing documentation. Number 3, get multiple quotes. Don't settle for the first contractor you come across. Obtain multiple quotes from different contractors for your projects. This not only helps you understand the fair market price, but also allows you to compare their approaches and timelines. Number 4, contract agreement. Always, and I mean always, have a written contract that clearly outlines all project details, including a scope of work, timelines, payment schedules, and warranties. Ensure both parties fully understand and agree to the terms before starting work. Number 5, check for red flags. Pay attention to any red flags during your interactions. These might include vague answers, hesitation to provide references, or avoiding written contracts. Trust your instincts and proceed cautiously if anything seems off. So, in the world of real estate investment, the success of your project often depends on the quality and reliability of the contractors you hire. Taking the time to vet your contractors thoroughly can save you headaches, money, and time in the long run, ultimately contributing to the success of your real estate investment ventures. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Alex Repp. Alex is a committed professional and a retired U.S. Army Reserve Company commander. He specializes in investing in short-term rentals and understands the importance of leading by example, and devoted himself to building a team of inspired millennials who want to go after their goals and dreams. I found Alex in a Facebook group for short-term rental hosts, and he is always sharing great advice. It's my pleasure to finally get him on the show, so welcome, Alex. We were jamming out to that intro. You are so funny. I knew this is going to be such a great interview, and I could tell by your energy this is going to be awesome. So, Alex, thank you so much for being on the show today. And I just want to start, how did you get involved with short-term rentals?
Thank you so much for having me on the show and acknowledging my energy. Like I like to have fun. So how did I get into short-term rentals? So I remember I was renting a room in Kansas City because I couldn't afford anywhere. And I knew I wanted to get into real estate investing. I had bought these classes on how to do it basically. And I remember having to choose between getting an apartment or buying a house or renting a room. And I was like, well, apartment seems very secluded. I'm just going to be throwing money away, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, like, I had a job. I could qualify for a home, but I was like, I don't know anything about real estate. It seems kind of like risky to like just go out and buy a home on a whim. It probably would have worked out in hindsight 2020, but I was like, well, room is kind of cheap, and I didn't know anyone because I was moving to Kansas City at the time. I had from like Chicago. I had zero friends, like didn't know anyone in Kansas City. It was like a job transplant. And I was like, well, at least if I'm renting a room, the landlord who lives there is going to at least be interested in real estate. So maybe he'll become my partner. So I decided to pick my location of where I lived based on the willingness of the landlord to become a future partner of mine in real estate and not necessarily close to where my job. So I ended up opting for a drive of 45 minutes instead of 2 minutes because there was a particular person that I was renting from for $500 a month that like was my age, and he had bought this house and decided to rent the rooms. And I was like, all right, well, this seems like an interesting concept, renting the rooms. So I remember praying like to the universe, to God. I'm a Christian. Like every day, I was like, "Oh, please bring me a deal. Please bring me a deal. I just need a first real estate deal. Please bring me a deal." And it was like every day. It was like every day. It was like, and miraculously, it's crazy. There's a house 2 doors from where I was renting my room caught fire. It caught fire.
Like, my goodness! People
couldn't see it, and like the fire department comes out, and we're all just watching us with amazement because I've never seen a fire before from the outside. But this legit house was on fire, And then I remember thinking to myself, and like Eric was my landlord. He became like, we became a buddy at the time. We talk about real estate all the time. I was like, we should find the owner. We should find the owner. And it was like, so we're like, all right, how do we find the owner? Well, let's talk to the tenant whose house is on fire.
Oh my goodness.
This was the landlord, his phone number. We called him up. It was like our first time. It was like, hey, but by the way, your house is on fire.
Oh my
like,
goodness!
No, really? It's like, yeah, like we're your neighbor. Hey, do you think you might want to sell?
Wow!
Literally, he was like, well, actually, maybe.
And did you get this house?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! And so this was also another real estate investor because this was a rental, and so there's a tenant in there.
There's the landlord, some older guy, and he had to talk him down a little bit, you know, it's reasonable. But he had no seller financing to us. $80,000 down, and then it was a duplex. So, and we had a lot of repairs because of the
fire,
right? But I didn't know any better, and my ignorance like kind of served me. You know, I ended up putting like $60K repairs on credit card. You know, it wasn't the best way to go.
But it's a start. I love that.
We had some 0% interest promos. I partnered with my landlord, and I ended up buying it from him. And it, you know, luckily it worked out. I don't exactly, recommend going with credit cards, but in my case, it worked out because I had a job and I had it long enough where I could pay off the debt. And we ended up refining it into a HELOC, and then I was out from the seller finance note because it had a balloon. And we rented out the rooms. And you're like, well, how did I get into short-term rentals? Well, like this, I had at the time where I was introduced to short-term rentals, I had a couple rentals. This was one of them. And it was working by the room. But the problem we were experiencing by the whole room model is that we were using Craigslist. You know, go figure that we would have a problem with Craigslist, you know. For me, it came as a surprise, but everyone else, it was just obvious. So, like, we just had interesting tenants, and Facebook Marketplace wasn't any better. We just get all these showing requests. Can I come see the place? Can I come see the room? Can I come see the room? And while I lived there, it wasn't an issue, but like it started becoming an issue because like all my time was going to these stupid showing requests. So, we trounced upon Airbnb, and there was this class that I'm part of this group. And they basically buy in once, and you're there for life. And they add classes, every year. And one of the classes they added in 2019 was based on short-term rentals. And I was like, interesting. People book on Airbnb without looking at it first. Like, it's just sight unseen. Ever notice that? Like, you can put the same information on Facebook Marketplace, but on Airbnb, they just book without asking questions. It's like, that's interesting. So let's try that out. So we did. We tried that out in 2019. This class that came out, I remember watching it like from my living room, like live before it was edited. It was 3 days. It was May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And I was in between jobs at the time, so I could do this. And they were teaching this new concept called the lease arbitrage strategy. You ever heard that before,
Yes.
Jen?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna kill lease arbitrage today, but that's how I got into it. So back in 2019, it was a good strategy. It worked, and honestly, like it probably would have been way better if I started in 2014. But I learned about it in 2019. I've never had a problem about trying things. It's probably one of the things that is probably one of my strengths and weaknesses. Because 2 days after I watched that class, on May 5th, we signed our first lease for 2 units. So 2 days later, so we watched these classes, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We were so mesmerized, like, we're going to get rich, you know? We just signed a lease, and then we profit on Airbnb. So we found a landlord at a meetup, and she had flown in from California to fire her property manager because her property manager couldn't get this fourplex. There were 2 units vacant in downtown Kansas City. And we're like, oh, we'll just lease it from you. How does that sound? And they're like, yeah, great. And they had a lease agreement. We put our lease in down there. She had no objections. We signed it, and then we put it on Airbnb, and we were making money. Like,
boom. So let me take a pause here, because for the listeners, I just want to explain what this short-term rental arbitrage model is. And basically, you find landlords and you rent their property, and then you sublet it as a short-term rental. So you're going to guarantee that money every month. I love when you're talking to these landlords, because you can say, it's going to be professionally cleaned multiple times a month. You're going to have less wear and tear on your appliances, because a lot of times if it's just a 2-day stay, maybe they're just out eating. You're in Kansas City, got good steaks in your area. So, they're probably not doing a lot of cooking, not doing a lot of laundry, etc. So, again, it's guaranteed money for that landlord, and you are going to keep the place pristine. You're going to be doing touch-up paints to make sure there's no nicks in the walls, anything like that. So it's a great model. But to tack onto this story, because I send out a questionnaire to my guests, and you have on this questionnaire, you say short-term rental arbitrage is dead and it's never coming back. I want to hear about this. So why do you think it's dead?
Done. So there's 4 ways to make money right now in short-term rentals, okay? And I'm going to rank them in order of best to worst, okay? Or most efficient to least efficient.
Okay.
Sure, there's still some arbitrage out there, opportunities, but it's kind of few and far in between. It was funny though, you're exactly right. The sales pitch to the landlord is awesome. I used to make fun of wholesalers a few years ago all the time. I'd be like, you have it so hard. You have to try to convince me that this is easier to do. Jen, you're a landlord, right? You own some property?
I do, yes.
How do you feel? How does it sound? I'm going to do you a favor by you selling me your house at a steep discount. Okay, how does that sound?
That's not going to happen.
What do you mean? That's a great idea. I can take this off your hands, blah, blah, blah. You're going in closure, right? So, but I used to make fun of wholesalers all the time because they have it so much harder. Versus you're 100% right, Jen. How about I pay you on time every month? I clean the place for you. I manage it for you. I fix it up for you. I do everything for you, and I pay you to do that.
I love it. And I will say, though, a lot of landlords, though, they're kind of having people come in and out. And
they're crazy. They're so crazy not to do this, because that is one. So like I said, the 4 ways to make money in real estate. Number 1, be the landlord. Best way to make money in short-term rental, be the landlord. 100%. They do literally everything for you, and then they pay you. So put it in perspective, right? A lot of landlords have property managers, right? And they pay anywhere from 8 to 12% long-term rental property management, right?
Correct.
If you sign a lease with a short-term rental tenant, they are bound by their reviews. They will live and die in their reviews. So they basically will manage it for you. They collect the money for you. It's so crazy that people are still saying no, because those tenants are basically signing up for bondage for free. That's what is happening. And that is why it is dead, because finally these tenants are waking up and realizing, wait a minute, I'm doing all these services for free, not getting compensated, and I still have to pay rent on top of it. So that is why arbitrage is dead. It's never coming back. It used to be super profitable in 2019, but since 2019 up until 2023, there's been year-over-year supply increase of 25%, stayed consistent for 4 years straight. In 2023, it started slowing down. It was only 15%. But 15% on millions and millions and millions and millions of Airbnbs in the US alone is still a lot. Still a lot.
So hold on. I just want to go back to, because I think you just breezed over it rather quickly. You're saying that the landlord is no longer accepting people to arbitrage their properties because they want to make the money. Is that where you were going with that whole conversation, or did I miss the point there?
No. Sorry. If you are a landlord, or if you want to get into the most profitable way to make money in short-term rentals, buy a property and lease to an arbitrager.
Oh, you're saying do lease it to an arbitrager.
Do it. You have at least 2 to 3 years.
But why are you saying it's dead?
It's dead because it's not in any way beneficial for the tenant. It's not in any way beneficial with the tenant. They just don't make enough money.
The tenant, as in, I am arbitraging. I find the landlord and I'm going to rent it from them. You're saying I'm not going to make enough money?
You're not, because you might be a little profitable. You might make a couple $100 a month, but it's not worth the furniture investment. But what's crazy is people are still doing it because of all the YouTubers out there and all this other stuff. They're still doing it. It's crazy.
I was so far off of what you were talking about. I apologize. We went like super fast through that. So you're saying it's dead because the people aren't making enough money who are renting from others. And it's better to just be the owner of the property and do it yourself.
Yeah. We got to go back and
basics.
We got to own the real estate.
Now, the flip side of it, though, and I just want to throw this little nugget out there, is if you are arbitraging it, meaning you are renting it from a landlord, if the dishwasher breaks, you're not having to pay for that expense. That is still the landlord's responsibility to go in and do like major repairs and stuff like that. So
every landlord has promised me that they would be quick and easy and they'll pay for all this and they'll maintain all this. Well, the reality is, I still have 19 arbitrage units.
Wow.
I still have them. But a lot of my leases are 5-year leases. They're all pre-pandemic. So I still got good rates.
Oh,
so
excellent.
I know it, but like they all promise it. They're like, oh yeah, we'll get to you. We'll take care of you. Blah, 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 blah. Guess what? They don't. They don't. They take weeks. They take forever. You end up fixing it. And then you try to haggle with them to try to get the money out of them. But the landlords are cheap. They don't want to spend any money, especially Midwest landlords. They're so cheap. So,
well, thank you for clarifying that. So you said there was 4 different levels here. So we're talking about that. What do we have next?
Number 2, best way to make money is to be the manager or the co-host.
Okay.
And that's what I'm doing right now. So if you don't have any money, can't buy any real estate, blah, 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 that's fine. Then you're going to provide a service. So the conversation is actually very similar. So instead of promising you rent, Jen, I'm going to take care of the place for you. I'm going to collect the money for you. I'm going to make sure that it's all clean for you. I'm going to make sure you're going to make more money from a short-term rental than a long-term rental, because you could still make a little bit more money.
That's true.
It just doesn't make sense for me to furnish it myself. But you might be like, as a landlord, well, why would it make sense for me to furnish it? And I have a coach, and he says, like, for every sale, like the best way to convert a sale is to create a reassociation. Okay. So landlords have this thing called turnovers, right? It's when the tenant moves out. It's a traumatic time. You hope to God that the tenant didn't leave this place with a dog locked in the closet for years and years and years. So, or just like a trash rehab, right? Everyone hopes for the elderly couple who just meticulously cleaned every single day of their entire 10-year turnover, tenancy or 2-year tenancy or however long it is. Turnovers are expensive. That's the point. So it could be from $3,000 to, if it's a disaster, it could be $20,000, $50,000. It could be a lot of money, right? So that's the big question mark. You talk to any landlord that's been in it for a while, especially the experienced ones who don't know how to screen tenants, et cetera, that it's a nightmare. So turnovers. So that strikes a nerve with them. So Jen, as a landlord, you mentioned that you have some property. Think of this furnishing investment as the turnover expense you'll never have to pay again. How does that sound?
Said. I like that.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, flip side of this, though, I do have friends that are co-hosts, and what the landlord sees as great furniture and very they're like, oh my gosh, what is this from the 1980s? What is, their stylistic designs are tough to work with. I'm being devil's advocate here, but, or they can say, hey, I will fund and allow you to go out and shop for what you think, because you're the expert at short-term rentals. So just throwing that out there for the listeners as well. But I do love that approach, is instead of turning it over, why don't you invest in some furniture and then we will,
think of it as a turnover cost you'll never have to pay again.
I love it. All right, number 3, what do we got?
So number 3 is to be the owner. It still makes sense to be the owner because you get the 4 benefits of rental real estate: appreciation, principal pay down, your tenant's paying the mortgage for you, or guest in this case. You get tax benefits and you get cash flow. So the difference between an owner and a tenant is that a tenant, when you sign a lease, and which is the 4th one, by the way, the 4th one is be the tenant, arbitrage. Think short-term rental arbitrage. The problem with tenancy is that you're making this furniture investment, could be $10,000, $20,000.
Right.
And your only benefit is cash flow. Right? You can't ride it out with the property increasing. And it's your only exit strategy, where as the owner, you could sell the property, you could convert it into a midterm rental, and it would still be fine because your situation, you're getting a benefit from, if this is operating as a short-term rental and I never have to pay a turnover again, you're getting an ROI because you never have to pay a turnover again. You're getting an ROI because it's never vacant. So those ROIs are not present as a tenant, okay? Like, just because you signed the lease for 5 years, that benefit you don't get paid for that benefit. The owner gets paid for that benefit. They never have to worry about the 2 months of the year that they're not going to collect rent, because you're always going to be there. So that's an ROI where most experienced real estate investors calculate upon purchase. They withhold 8% of rental income, 8 to 10, and on their pro forma, and they say this is going to go to vacancy because some people are going to move out, and it might take some time to find the next tenant. Well, if you sign a lease with a short-term rental tenant, they're not leaving, and this has been historically true. They've been there for years and years and years and years and years, even when times get tough. It's crazy. So we might be seeing an exodus in the next 2-3 years, but it's not going to be this year. It's not. So.
I love all of that. Alex, that was so good. And another thing that we see a lot of in this Facebook group, what is the name of that Facebook group? It's like Airbnb.
VRBO, Alex's Facebook group. So,
Alex's Facebook.
Airbnb VRBO professional host. I think it's what it is.
Something like that. It's such a shit show. Excuse my French, but it truly is like, oh my gosh, people. And if anyone brings up, oh, someone snuck another dog into my property again, that one drives me nuts. But one of the tips that you have on here, or one of the bullet points you have, is about increasing the, you have the SEO, meaning the more eyes on your listing and increasing reservations, basically. So what tips do you have for the listeners on how they can, make more money using Airbnb, Vrbo, all the other fun stuff?
So when you get enough units, you get a dedicated Airbnb rep. So this information doesn't come from me. It comes from someone who works.
I love Airbnb. That. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How many do you have to have?
You need 50 now.
50? Okay.
It used to be 35. You need 50.
Okay.
So, but if you know someone that has 50, they probably have one, and you can just ask them what they told them. So basically, this is a person you can call up at any time, and they're going to give you tips and help you with issues, basically. It's like, yeah, anyways. So
I'm a little jealous.
This person said, gave tips on how to maximize the platform. Okay. So the tips are, we'll start with tip number 1. Fill out all of the photos with subdescriptions. Okay. Part of the algorithm is based on complete listings. That means anywhere that you could put text, just have some kind of text in there. Okay. So that's SEO tip number 1. So all the photos you have, make sure you have subdescriptions. Okay. Number 2, part of the algorithm is based on recency. So if you've had a listing for years and years and years, you've never updated it, you're missing a little bit. not a lot, but you're missing a little bit based on, they do promote listings that are newer because they trust the information to be more accurate. Okay. So
interesting.
There's a thing called boosting the listing. I don't know if this is like a coin term or anything like that, but if you just change a couple things, whether it be in the description or the title or add a photo or blah, 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 you're going to get promoted a little bit better. Okay. Here's some bigger tips. Okay. So we're getting to some simple and easy ones. A big tip that'll promote SEO is using their, I'm not talking about smart pricing. I never recommend using smart pricing.
Me neither.
But they do have other pricing tools. Okay. Brian Chesky this summer came out and he told Airbnb World that he does not like cleaning fees. It's his goal to eliminate cleaning fees in the next 2 years. Okay. So if you have a cleaning fee, the higher it is, the less Airbnb likes you. Just put it that way. So the lower you can get it, the better. If you have zero, it is the best. Okay. So here's a pro tip. There is another fee. You have to activate Airbnb professional hosting tools. So you got to go to account, go to professional hosting tools, and you click on it. It takes 2 clicks to get there, and you got to tap that on. Okay. Once you tap that on, you can get access to other different ways to price your unit. One of the ways that you can price your unit is called a community fee. Okay. What is a cleaning fee? A cleaning fee is a fee once per reservation. Okay. It just so happens that a community fee is also a once per reservation fee. What does the host want? They want to make sure they collect enough money to pay the cleaner. So the difference is that when you have a $150 cleaning fee, your guests can see that you have a $150 cleaning fee. They can see that. It's part of their line item.
Right.
But when you have a $150 community fee, it gets wrapped into the daily rate. So let's say your community fee is $100, okay? And your daily rate is $10. So on a 1-day reservation, the guest will see a daily rate of $110. They take the community fee and they add it to the daily rate. Let's say it's a 4-day reservation. Now your total price is $140. However, the daily rate is going to be $35. 100 divided by 4 is 25, plus the daily rate of 10 equals $35 a day. That's what the guest sees. They don't see the line item community fee. It gets rolled into the reservation, into the daily rate. So this has numerous benefits. Every host should be doing this.
This is huge.
This is so freaking easy, and they're missing it. I don't know of a single manager who's doing this aside from me. It's so easy. This gets your cleaning fee down to 0. You never have to do a cleaning fee. This promotes you SEO-wise. 2, when your guest calls and say that you didn't clean the unit because they saw one bug. They saw one bug and they're like freaking out. Oh my God, this unit is not clean. They can call an Airbnb and they can get a full refund on the cleaning fee. But now your cleaning fee is 0. They can't refund anything. It's genius.
Wow.
Oh my God. It doesn't seem like they charge a cleaning fee. I don't know how to refund you. Well, it looks like you have to talk to the host. That's benefit number 2. This is so huge. So
I have never heard of this, Alex. This is amazing.
The community fee is the way to go. So that is benefit number 2. So another big way to improve SEO is to use the monthly and length of stay discounts. Okay. So if you are 10% or more on your discounts, you're going to be promoted much higher on the SEO. If you're 20% or more, you're going to get promoted in Airbnb's email campaigns. This is coming from, not me, this is coming from the Airbnb rep. If you're 20% or more, you're being promoted on the email campaigns. So wherever it makes sense to do that, do that. Do that. Manipulate your pricing so that you're part of those campaigns. So we, especially for super seasonal listings, like if you're in an area where like it's like summer or bust, basically in the wintertime, it's just dead, like a lake or on a golf course, something like that. You really want to reward 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 day bookings, okay? Because they're filling up your weekdays. So any booking with a 3-day booking, at a minimum, they're taking up 1 weekday. 4-day, at a minimum, they're taking up 2 weekdays, 5, and then so on, right? So like the weekends are easy to book. So you should have a trip length discount. I have a super seasonal property right now. We have 0% discounts for 2-day bookings. It's about $1,000 a night on the summertime. There's a 35% discount the minute they book 3 days or more.
Wow.
3 days or more, because we want to reward. That's 1 weekday we don't have to worry about, because it's easy to book the weekends. People are willing to pay that on the weekends. It's I want to say it's like a 40% discount for 40. It goes up to 50% discount for a 7-day booking. And wow. I talked to the owners. We're like, are you happy with this daily rate for 7 days? And yes, that's what our previous manager had us at, that price. With the previous manager that they had it at, they only allowed a minimum stay of 4 days. So like, for instance, their 4-day, they wouldn't allow anyone to book less than 4 days. And they were, let's say their target was $500 a night. Well, I was like, well, would you be happy for a 2-day booking at $1,000 a night? That basically buy you those 2 days for free. That's double the rate. It pays for the 2 days.
Huge.
Like, yeah, we'd be totally okay with that. And like, why wouldn't they? They would be totally okay with that because they just got 2 days for free. No, what's it called? Wear and tear on the unit. It's just vacant, right? Why would someone be unhappy with that? But like, when you limit yourself 4 days in that capacity, people who are searching for 2 days, they don't even see your listing. They don't even see it. So you want to manipulate your price. Use those tools on Airbnb. There's been so many tools that have added even in the last year. So if you haven't updated your listing in 4 years, then you're missing the boat. So you really need to have an annual review, not just of the property, but also of the listing itself, because there's new amenities, there's new stuff. The more stuff you are using on that listing, the higher promotion-wise you're going to receive on Airbnb.
Alex, this is so incredibly helpful. And I know this is a struggle for many who have short-term rentals, is actually getting it booked. And I mean, these are just simple things that you can do to go in and do this. So I want to get into the nitty-gritty here, because what you posted a story about how you actually were banned from Airbnb. And this happened in
4 times.
4 times.
4 times.
And you told this whole long story, but then you also shared how to, get back into Airbnb, which was really, really important. So I want to hear how your 2023 went, because this was some crazy stuff here. So tell us how you got banned from, at least one time, how you got banned from Airbnb.
All right. So 2023, best year ever. I got banned in January. For a misdemeanor, not from me. It wasn't even my misdemeanor. It was from a co-host. It was an employee, right? He wasn't like a partner. He was literally an employee, like a cleaner that needed some visibility in the listing. So I added him as a co-host. It's a feature on Airbnb. Well, little did I know, I assumed the past, present, and future of this co-host. Anything he did, including 10 years ago when he got a misdemeanor. I'm not going to tell you why or how. It's not my business to do that, but I'm only telling you this misdemeanor, it would raise your eyebrows. But like, what the heck is this solved? Like, it's not even like a serious misdemeanor. Like, had nothing to do with this whatsoever. It was such an eyebrow raising thing. So that's what I was saying. You just have to take my word for it. But
how did Airbnb find out though?
So ban number 2. So at this point, this is ban number 3. It's not so terrible. Oh my gosh. Ban number 1, 2020 November. Guest blows checkout. Cleaner walks in an hour and a half later. Guest is still there. Cleaner says, "Hey, the actual cleaning staff, the rest of the cleaning staff is going to arrive in 30 minutes. No problem. Can you just please pack it up and get out of here?" Right? So the guest called Airbnb, said we violate privacy. We got suspended. All 16 listings that day, and the only email we got was, "Hey, your account's pending investigation. It's suspended pending investigation. No reason. Blah blah blah." I had to figure out that later. Eventually, we got it unbanned about 10 days later. Of course, it's after Thanksgiving because everyone was on holiday, right? Totally. But so that was banning number 1. I'm going really fast because we have limited time. Banning number 2, it was legit. Legit, not my fault, legit, but there was a carbon monoxide detector that went off in one of our units, and And long story short, there was a carbon monoxide leak from a water heater that was leaking. We got to fix same day. Fire department came out. They certified it. Guests moved back in. They finished the reservation. A week later, we get suspended on that account. But I, as the super smart short-term rental real estate investor at that time, I had learned from my previous experience to separate my listings into 8 different accounts. Thought, I'm going to have an account veil. In business, you have this corporate veil. And now I have an Airbnb account veil. That was the thought process.
How do you do that?
Well, it didn't work. But, I had 35 units. So my first suspension, they affected all 16 units, all the ones I had at the time. So I had learned not to have one account, but 8 accounts. And I just
you mean
divided.
Like different emails or?
Yeah, basically different emails. Just think of eggs. I decided to put them in different baskets.
Okay,
right?
Gotcha.
They all had my name on it. So I didn't, so I thought okay. At first, that second banning, they only banned or suspended the account in which the house was in. So it was only 8 properties instead of 35. But that prompted the background check. And they background checked not just me, but all of my co-hosts. And what happened is that they linked all of our accounts together. And I didn't know at the time. How they decided to do that is they noticed that we had a bank account. Well, we had one bank account in every single account. Or let me rephrase that. We had the same bank account in each account. It was our claims account.
Okay.
It's very technical, but basically whenever there's a claim payout from Airbnb, they don't pay it out to the payout rules. We have one bank account per listing, and that's how we track things at the time. We don't have that anymore. And we also had a claim account because if there was a broken chair from unit 1, they wouldn't pay it out to unit 1's bank account. They only pay out claims to the default bank account. So on every single account, the default bank account was the same bank across all 8 accounts, and that was our claim account. So they decided because of that, because we had the same bank account on all 8 accounts, they would link them all together because it was the same person, and they banned all 8 accounts. So yeah, that's 35 properties at a time, average of $80K a month, just totally just oh my God. And we had not prepared savings wise for this. So it was freaking out disaster. So that happened in January 2023. Also, what had happened in January 2023 is that the city where I had 10 units, KCMO, decided to ban short-term rentals on May 3rd. That went into effect June 3rd. And then we got banned again in October for the same reason.
You had 1 month notice for an entire town banning short-term rentals.
Yeah, imagine this judge. You're in this courtroom and you're giving out a ton of reasons why they should keep it. They're making $8 million a year from the revenue, blah blah blah. The judge, he was like, you know what? I don't really care. And he, boom, gavel, boom, everyone banned. There were 2,000 short-term rentals in Kansas City, Missouri. They grandfathered 400. That means 1,600 short-term rentals. Boom, gone, done. Midterm rental only.
Wow.
1 month. And on these 10 units, 8 of them were leases.
Okay, so they're arbitrage. Got it.
Yeah, we're arbitrage units myself. So the smart person that I was, I had an exit clause. I had an addendum that said if there was any law change that drastically affects the profitability
to the landlord.
To the landlord, yep. Any law change that drastically affects the profitability of short-term rentals, I can exit the lease penalty-free. Kind of smart to have that in there, right?
Yes.
Well, most of the landlords didn't put up a fight, but there was one I had 4 units with that threatened to sue the crap out of me. I almost crap out of me. And so I'm going to deal with that too. So that was going on in June. So I didn't want to go to court because even though I had a totally legitimate claim there, I just knew it would be more expensive. I was able to reason with him. So he said he would let me off the lease. I had found long-term tenants. So I had to deal with that. I had to deal with 2 bannings. Here's the moral. Here's the silver lining. In 2023, I somehow managed to double my portfolio. I've managed to sell all 8 of my units, furniture-wise, retail value. I was able to overcome 3 career business-ending dilemmas, and I've come out so much stronger on the other side.
I'm blown away by that because when COVID hit, so many of my friends who put all their eggs into the short-term rental basket, they were losing thousands per month. And so I love this story because you were able to, the ones that you owned, you sold off furnished and got retail value. Furnished or not furnished?
So on that, I started like marketing for a bunch of real estate agents or leasing agents for the 4 units that this landlord was being a dick for. And like I decided to manipulate my pricing to attract someone who wanted to stay like for a few months. I learned this from COVID, how to attract a midterm rental. So I increased the monthly discount, etc. And I was able to find someone, and I called people up that booked longer than a month. And I said, hey, any chance you move into Kansas City? You're just staying in a short-term rental now, looking for a new place to stay. And one person said yes. And it was like, yeah, I'm looking for an apartment right now. And I said, well, how would you like to just take over this apartment? And she's like, yeah, I actually would like that. So you can sign a lease directly from the landlord. He was like, great. So that didn't cost me anything from the leasing agent.
So smart.
So boom, 1 out of 4 done. And then the leasing agents found the other 3. So that took a few months, but eventually that furniture, now problem number 2, you have to move the furniture into something else. So we had some garages that we had access to because we had other units around the area. So we were able to kind of withstand the storm. But at the same time, we're like, okay, all right, let's go all in on the co-hosting, the management business. So we were able to find some clients that were expanding. So instead of buying new furniture for Amazon, they don't care. So we're like, hey, how would you like us to furnish it for you? And they're like, yeah, sure, great. So we moved. At one point, we got to an extreme length here. We took 2 2-bedroom, 1-bath sets of furniture. We loaded them in a freaking truck. And I drove that truck from Kansas City to Texas because the house was in Texas. And weird, because I'm not going to take a loss. This furniture, guys, is $30,000. Materials only. This is what it's worth. $30,000. So I'm not taking a $30K hit on this. So I drive this truck. The owner, paid for the moving costs and the labor and things like that. And we just moved the stuff in a hurry in it. And we did a really good job. Like she's not getting like crap furniture. Like the furniture that we sold her was in great condition because over the years, we filing claims or replacing stuff. It's all like new condition. So like I would never try to sell crap to someone. But yeah, that was the length that I was willing to go to just get out of this predicament. So that was one. And then there's a bunch in Lawrence, Kansas that we were expanding. We were able to get 8 of the units sold. The other 2 was a duplex that I actually owned. I moved into 1 unit. This is the one I'm in right now. So I could owner occupy the top unit. So 10 for 10, baby. So that they came out of that crisis. And we can come back to the banning, but I figure I should turn it over to you for
Alex, I mean, so very smart. And I mean, listeners, in real estate, you have to learn to pivot because the shit will hit the fan at the most randomest of times. And you have to be able to be ready to pivot. And Alex, you just did that so well. So the last thing I want to talk to you about, though, that I'm super excited to hear about is glamping. What is it and how are you making money at this glamping thing?
Okay, so this was a big win in 2023 as well. And we don't have a unit in operation. And if you have questions about the banning, like I wrote an article on it in the Facebook group. You get a hold of Jen, we can cover it in very much bigger detail. But Jen, you asked me prior to this interview, like a best piece of advice I've never received or I have ever received. And it's just never waste a good crisis. So like all these positive things have come down because I just decided not to give up. Like the sky is falling literally in my business. Like in January, it was falling down. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure it out, So every advancement 2023 came from that never waste a good crisis mentality. So I was able to make my cleaning 30% more efficient on cost. We're saving tons of money in cleaning now. I was able to figure out how to go outside the Kansas City bubble. Now we're in 9 different states. So glamping was like, okay, this is an area of short-term rentals that is like control the experience. You're not dependent on the building. You're not dependent on the landlord. And it still has a very affordable cost of entry, like thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands, thousands of dollars, right? There was a lady, she was in Kansas City. She had a glamping business. She was known for glamping. She had a couple partners, but partners wanted to move on to other different things. They kind of left her kind of alone with it. She was just paying storage on all this equipment. She had 14 really nice tents. The tents had air conditioners. They had propane heaters. They had generators. They had outdoor furniture. They had this business is worth $100,000.
Oh my gosh.
They've been on TV a few times. They have a great social media presence. So, she was just tired of paying the storage fee. She had no plans to get it back in operation. They had set this up in a Park District space. The Park District wasn't allowing them to come back for whatever reason. I don't know why. So it was just a liability to them anymore. So I got the deal of a lifetime. And you make people do business with you if they know, like, or trust you. There's an acronym called KLT, right? So the only reason why I got this deal is because she liked me. And I intend to create $250,000 of value. But she sold her business to me for 30 grand. But it wasn't 30K cash. It wasn't just seller financed. It was $0 down, and the 30K is coming from the profit of future bookings when I set them up. I have a year to set them up. So there's no payment schedule. So I have literally no money out of pocket. I finally found a place. We originally had plans to put it up in KCK. That didn't work out. I found another property owner that has hundreds of acres out in Utah. So this is, I already figured out I could drive a truck last year. So why not just drive a truck this year? So we're going to drive a truck when the snow melts in Utah. We're planning on early April, maybe late March. I have a partner out there. So Jonathan and I, we're driving a truck with all these tents, all this equipment, and we're setting it like that day. We're just figuring it out, So I got a bunch of volunteers lined up.
This is so cool.
So, our biggest thing for glamping is that we didn't have a proof of concept. We know people are doing it. We know people are making money.
I need to stop you for a second because you glazed right over. You didn't tell us what is glamping.
Oh, yeah. So
you went right into it, and I love that. But back up a second. Tell us what glamping is.
I think like tents, domes, covered wagons, tree houses. Just
hammocks,
outdoor kind of experience kind of unit where you book like a dome, a tent, a treehouse.
Yurts, isn't that one of them too?
Yurt, yeah, yurts are on it. You're basically outdoors. So there's an expectation for glorified camping. That's why it's called glamping. But everything's set up. So done a lot of research in it. People are paying buku bucks for glamping. So, I think the golden age of glamping was like 2 years ago, but it's still definitely super hot. It's the best opportunity right now in short-term rental.
I hear people going glamping, and I'm like, I don't really want to deal with it. But you mentioned air conditioning and propane heat. I'm like, ooh, I might do this now.
The target market for this business that I bought was middle-aged women who have never gone camping before. Do you know anyone that fits that demographic?
I'm looking at her on the screen right now.
All right.
Wow. So what's the equipment that you're driving out to Utah? So what are these glamping sites going to actually contain?
Well, there's the company I own it. It's called Sweet Tea. You can look on the Facebook page and you can get pictures of what these things look. They look amazing.
And is it TEA? Just T?
Sweet as in like a unit, like a suite.
Oh, SUITE.
Yeah, and then T is TEA. Yeah, Sweet Tea.
Nice. And it's .com, and they can check this out.
Well, they would go on Facebook because they have a Facebook. I think they have the domain, and I bought the domain through them. But we haven't touched the Facebook page at all, and we don't have it in operation yet, so there's no reason for us to do it. But you can see the previous owners on there. But the point of benching them is just that you can see what the units are like. If you don't want to go there, you just go on Airbnb and just type in camping and glamping. People have outdoor kitchens that they're not just tents too. They're literally domes, yurts, covered wagons. It's just any kind of they all got it kind of souped into glamping.
And where do they go to the bathroom?
Some of them have bathrooms.
Oh.
Some of them are more primitive. So yeah,
Alex,
some of them are more primitive. So
and you think a lot more direction is going to go towards glamping in the Airbnb world?
Well, it's already happening.
Okay.
So there's billions of dollars going towards this.
Interesting. So on a little side note, I want a waterfront property, and I live in North Carolina, and we looked in Burgaw, and I did not get this one property that we wanted, but probably a mile away, maybe 2 miles away, was a new glamping site at a blueberry place, whatever. And then they would set up these glamping sites. And I was like, there's something going on in this town. So I'm still going to be checking out that area. And one requirement for me is I've got to be near a brewery, because I like to go places and then know that I can go out at night and have like local beers and stuff. So this place had it all. But anyway,
you got glamping convention. It's like the first Saturday of October every year. It's in Denver.
Oh my gosh.
That's not surprising at all. That's in Denver, right? But you should go. You should totally go. And when I say they're billion with a B, they're moving towards this, like every KOA, it's a big franchise, camping wise. They're adding covered wagons. They're adding domes. They're adding little cabins. They're full on committed to glamping. I
love all of this. And I also just want to ask you, before we go to the second part of the podcast here, is I like how you're saying where things are headed. And to me, my most successful short-term rental has been the destination one. And for a long time, people were, going in AirDNA and seeing like, where are people most profitable for short-term rentals? And then those areas became what? Saturated, right?
100%, yes.
Like Orlando, Florida. Just forget it. I would never buy in Orlando, Florida. And the competition there is like crazy ridiculous.
Race to the bottom.
What's that?
Race to the bottom.
Exactly. So I am always going in the opposite direction, trying to find more destination ones. And like you are providing with your glamping what?
Business.
Just glamping business.
That experience. That's the
You're
thing.
providing experience.
You can create your own brand based on your unique experience. What people are seeing in glamping is OTP, that's online travel platform, independence. We're shutting off Airbnb during the summertime because they're being booked directly. And it makes perfect sense because they get some Instagram kind of worthy kind of like photos and a following. Like maybe you're partnering up with like a horse ranch or something like that, or you're doing some kind of bee thing, like this post that we're putting in, it's next to Maple Canyon. Is one of the popular like newer outdoor climbing kind of destinations in Utah. Cool. So like we're gonna try to kind of piggyback off that, but like because you can control the experience, people will remember your brand. Where like your cookie cutter house on in a neighborhood right next to all the other ones. The reason why I say it's a race to the bottom is because like you can't stand out anymore in a crowded market. Cookie cutter does not survive. So because you have so much control over your experience and it's so easy to get away from the online travel platforms based on what you're doing. Like, I think it is a great opportunity that people that are starting today, they can get the followings, and the followings are going to be like the gold mine, right? So like maybe it'll get too saturated 4 or 5 years from now, but like right now, like 4 or 5 years from now, if you get started today, you might have 1 million followers where you won't have to worry about saturation.
That's right.
What's different. That's what's different with this opportunity than arbitrage and buying a house in Orlando.
See, listeners, this is why I wanted Alex on the show so bad, because you gave us some great information here, and we never really got to how you got back on Airbnb, but how do they find that article so they can read through that? Because that was really important for people to know about.
There's a Facebook group called Airbnb VRBO Professional Host. I did put in another Facebook group called Airbnb Automated, the host of Airbnb Automated. So what you're going to do is you're going to search Alex Rep for any articles that I've written. And then there's one that's clearly super popular, and it's called The Complete Guide on How to Mitigate Your Risk of Being Banned, things like that. So
very good. Alex, thank you for sharing that. And the second part of the podcast is what makes Alex Rep a badass. And you are clearly a badass, especially in this industry. And the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
I wrote down extreme ownership because that was basically the theme of 2023. I can mope with crime. It was like, oh my God, Airbnb sucks, blah, 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 blah. In January, oh my God, like, the city sucks, right? Or I could be like, you know what? This is an opportunity. Like, I'm going to rise and overcome and be just better. I'm going to be better. Like when you're tempted to just complain, blah, 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 the solution is just to be better. Be better. And if you can adopt that mindset, you can accomplish anything.
I love it. All right. The first A in badass is, and I think you already touched on this, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Never waste a good crisis. It's always an opportunity.
And you definitely know how to turn a crisis around into an opportunity. And I think that's so smart. And because you pivot and you
motivate too.
Yep.
Like if you're losing money, like where your money flows, your attention goes.
Yep. Absolutely. Excellent advice. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives Alex to be successful?
So like, this is probably maybe of a shortfall, but like, at least I'm admitting it. I care way too much about what other people think of me. Like, I just care way too much. Like, I know it's probably a little bit unhealthy, blah, 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 but like reputation is everything. Some people have noticed about me and they've used this to wound me a little bit because I just care way too much. So,
I do too.
It's definitely a driver too. So in business, like it has some strengths that come along with it, right? Is a sale really what you want, or do you really want a satisfied customer? Because if you focus on creating satisfied customers, then you're never going to have a lead problem. You're never going to have a lead problem. If you have 100,000 sales and you don't know how to process all that, you're going to have a serious problem. Serious problem. So focus on satisfied customers. Don't focus on sales.
And does it crush you when you get like a 1-star from an angry Karen?
I don't read Airbnb reviews anymore because of how much it affects me. So I have outsourced that because you just can't control it anymore. You
can't control it. And I feel like it's gotten even tougher lately. People think, ooh, that review is just so worth it. And anyway, I do still kind of go, I've only gotten one star review, but I had a 4-star review recently where our pipe, the drain pipe in the shower froze. And I said, let me get someone over there immediately. And she, oh, no, we don't want to be disrupted. I said, well, let me at least treat you to dinner. I gave this chick $50 and she still gave me a 4-star review. So that kind of stuff just makes me crazy.
We got a 1-star review and I kindly asked the guests to remove it. And is there anything we can do to help? Like, we've never gotten a 1-star review before, which is a lie, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. And he removed it.
Oh, really? Well, that was nice. No, this chick was not.
It was total retaliation. We had gone through the Airbnb channels to get it removed. We probably still had a case, but we're like, you know what? Let's just ask the guest. Let's give him $100 like you rebook with us kind of coupon. He got pissed because he overstayed, blue checkout, and like one of my employees, charged him $55 for it. So
wow.
Yeah, he gave us 5 on cleanliness, but gave us a 1 overall. It's so obvious, But Airbnb customer service doesn't see it that way sometimes. So,
I like that you pass that off to somebody else because you do, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and I already could tell that about you, and you are concerned what others think. And so I think that was very smart to actually pass that off. That was awesome. Super smart.
Emotionally too much.
Yes.
So I recognized it, and you know what? Someone else can deal with that negativity in life, right?
Yep. Very good. All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
100 units by the end of 2024. So.
You should just do 101 just to bypass it. Just go right. I'm just kidding. I say that because a friend of mine was like, I want 100 rental units by long-term rentals by the end of the year. And I said, well, I want 101. So that was that ongoing competition. But one thing in your bios, you talk about you speak at events and things, and you teach people everything. Like, you have shared some great nuggets for us on here. And you're like, I don't have a problem doing that because that person, even though they're my competition, in a couple of years when they get burned out, they're going to be selling me their property. So I love that about you, Alex, that you even brought that up. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah. And they're going to come to you, and they know how good you are at it, that they will feel comfortable, passing their business on to you when the time is right.
There's no competition. It's cooperation. Like, there's a guy in our market. He's got such a scarcity competitive mindset, but he's missing the boat. Like, he's very top influencer too. Like, he should be partnering with people, helping them succeed. Because what that does is that helps mature the marketplace.
Yep.
So it has less risk of the city deciding to ban it outright because more people are doing what they're supposed to do. Like, things like that. And, and I've seen tremendous leaps and bounds when I've befriended people, and, life happens. Like, they get babies, like things happen, and just things change, right? People will do business with others they know, like and trust.
Absolutely.
They know, like, and trust. So like you gotta just be friendly with your competition, help them out as much as they can, and the deals will come. The deals will come. So like I'm in it for the long haul. I know I'm in it for the long haul. The reality is like businesses come and go, kind of like houses. Like people buy and sell, refinance a house 5 to 7 years. So that's kind of the timetable for a business. They just get burnt out. So it's nothing against them. So they're looking for a deal. You can pick up seller financing. It's a lot easier to pick up seller financing on businesses than it is houses.
Very true. Oh my goodness. Alex, you are so fun. I could talk to you for hours, but we are going to keep going here. The first S in Badass is for systems. And with you having a goal of 100 short-term rentals by the end of 2024, I'm sure you have some great systems set up. So what systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
You're going to have to bring me out to talk about, again, on a different podcast.
Like a whole podcast on this.
But the most important, I think, is ClickUp. So ClickUp is kind of like money.com. I really like ClickUp. It's basically a depository of all our business processes and policies. So there's training videos on every single task. You can assign the task to employees, things like that. Like you really don't have an automated business until you have all of that documented on a cloud-based platform. So it makes hiring a lot easier because as soon as the person's hired, you can just assign them the task. They just follow the instructions and do the tasks, right? So like that's what makes a business scalable. You got to have all your processes and tasks or listed out in tasks with video, screen share, instructions on how to do them, written text, screenshots, things like that. Literally our entire business, minus like a couple facets that we've just recently added maybe, is in ClickUp. So this is like a universal business principle nowadays. So like for me, it's super easy to hire. Like we use 6 overseas Filipino workers. They work full-time. We have 2 US based, including myself. So whenever we hire new Filipino or US based, we just assign the task to them. That's all we do.
I was going to say, I'm sure ClickUp is especially useful when you are not in the same location. That's huge.
Yeah. So like, you the way to go right now is using the global economy. Like we're picking up Filipinos for $500 a month.
Wow. That's a very good one. All right. To wrap up the badass questions here, the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to Alex?
I think this is the most simple definition. Like success is nothing other than steady pursuit towards a worthy ideal. Like if you're steadily pursuing something, then you are successful. It's not until you become successful. You are successful today. So steady pursuit towards a worthy ideal. Steady
pursuit towards a worthy ideal. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on here, Alex. And forgive me for not saying this earlier, but thank you for your service to the country in the Army Reserve. So thank you for that. And thank you so much for being on the show today. And quickly, how do people find you online?
So I could be better with other platforms, but my go-to, I'm the old soul, I guess, is still Facebook. So www.facebook.com, alex.repschultz. Or just look for Alex Rep on Facebook. You can shoot me a message on Messenger. If you find any of the relevant Facebook groups associated to Airbnb, short-term rental, VRBO, I'm probably on there too. So you can also reach out to Jen Josie. You can thumbs up the idea of me coming back on the next podcast, et cetera. So I can probably talk for days. So
this has been a lot of fun. And also, we didn't even talk about your business, which is Owl Stays. OWLSTAYS, and you can check out his website. And I'm sure you have all your owlstays.com. And I love that. I was like, that's got to be a great story behind it. And you said,
nope.
It was just the domain was available.
I needed an animal and a domain that was open. I was like, oh, that's kind of like owl. That's kind of like travel related. It seems kind of smart decision. All right, let's see. I will be in beat now. Owl Stays. All right, there we go. We got one. And that's how it was.
Well, Alex, thank you so very much for being on the show today.
Oh, you're welcome. It was so much fun. So
absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery, and don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.